institutions are seeking to actually control human perceptions, or let's call it outright what it really is, to control the mind, okay? And therefore, to limit what human beings may even come to understand, and therefore by limiting what they are coming to understand, they're actually limiting what they're able to do, what they're able to change, what they're able to create in the world, okay? So you have to be skeptical of where your information comes from. And that's why I tell people at the very beginning in my lectures, do not believe me. The worst thing you could do is believe what I'm telling you. You need to look into it for yourself, and most of all, you need to do personal introspection to really feel inside of yourself whether this information resonates with truth. Everybody has that intuitive capacity. That also has to be turned on and engaged and used. Human beings everywhere say that they want certain things in their life, and they say that they want certain things to be present for all humanity, okay? We say we want certain conditions to be present for ourselves and our species as a whole. And we say we want things such as happiness, health, peace, prosperity, freedom, etc. And all these things are great things to aspire to. And we say we want them. Most people will say and tell you we want these things. However, I don't really feel that they're truly being honest with themselves. Okay, they'll say they want them, but then when you tell them, well, those aren't automatic conditions. They don't just magically manifest. Okay, there are requirements for obtaining these conditions. Okay, and people wouldn't say they want these conditions if these conditions were already omnipresent, right? They're saying that they want something because they don't have it at all, or at least in fullness, right? So when you tell them there's requirements, and they believe that somehow they're going to magically get these things, right? Well, this is what the real laws of attraction are about. It's explaining conditions that you want don't just automatically manifest by thinking of them or just having a feeling about them. This is a new age deception. Requirement exists in nature. It does exist. If you want something to be different than the way that it already is, than the default conditions, then requirement exists. If you're okay with things being the way that they are now, requirement doesn't exist. There are no requirements to creating change. You just accept the default conditions the way they are now and go on with your existence and accept it's going to be this way and possibly get worse. But if you want real change to happen, requirements exist. So what are these requirements? We need to know certain things. Knowledge is required.
Welcome.
Knowledge.
What's up, beautiful
The
people?
information regarding natural law is occulted
y'all having an
knowledge.
amazing
It is
weekend.
knowledge that has been hidden from humanity. It's held by the few, which is represented here at the top of this pyramid. You can look at this as a pyramid representing knowledge or ignorance.
Hope
At
you're
the top
having
of
a
the
great
pyramid, you have
weekend.
knowledge.
I'm getting ready
The
to travel.
higher you go in the pyramid, the more
So,
knowledge. Okay? But the pyramid
I'll be
tapers because at the top,
in Africa
very few
soon.
people understand that
Hello,
information.
how you
Very
doing?
few
Hey,
people
Amir.
have
I
that
am
knowledge.
I
They've
am
actually
a
integrated
tailor.
it
Yeah, I guess
into themselves
I am
to the
myself.
point where it becomes understanding.
I do
Right?
so.
Down here,
I'm a
you have no
full-born
knowledge.
creative.
The ignorant
Okay?
masses.
And I learned to sew when I
up
was
here you
young.
have
My dad
the
was a
people who
tailor.
are in the know,
And I
right,
am
who
a
have this
seamstress and
knowledge
a
about how
designer.
natural law works and are actually using it for a certain
So I'm the one
reason.
that, in the
So
family that
please,
picked
as you
up
go
behind my
through this
dad.
seminar, please keep in mind,
And
if I ever use
right
the
now I'm
term
just kind of
occult,
being creative.
all I'm talking about
I
here
made
is hidden knowledge. That's what it means.
I'm
Occulted
repurposing
knowledge is hidden.
jeans.
The
I
knowledge
have
of
these
natural
jeans
law
that I took
and its
and
operations
I took it
constitutes
and
what I
turned
call
it into a
the
skirt.
most deeply occulted
So,
or hidden information.
but even more so,
that
I'm
exists on this
just kind
planet.
of checking out some
You will not
information.
find any more hidden information.
Name a car for an
This is
edit.
the thing that all the
A car?
distractions are there for, to keep you from learning. The endless trivialities,
Cullen.
the nonsense you hear on the news, all the
Bentley.
video games, all the nonsense
I didn't know
television,
people in America were
the
into this
sports.
stuff.
It's all
Oh,
there to keep
me.
people
Hey,
from
me. I'm not
understanding
like
this.
normal people. But yes,
can't
I
get you
do
to
have a
accept that
community
or
of
believe it. I
amazing
don't ask you
people
to believe it.
who are into.
I'm
If
telling
you're
you,
talking
that's
about what we're
they're
listening
trying
to,
from
yeah.
my years of being inside
Occult knowledge,
occult
yeah, oh yeah.
traditions
I'm all
that
about
are
it. I'm
very,
all
very
into
dark.
it.
I'm telling you, this is what they don't want you
I know
to do.
that's right.
Please,
Where are you from,
recognize it. When I
Aaron?
use
You
the
said
word truth,
you didn't know that
that
people
is
in
all
America.
I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the mind of God.
You know, we
I'm
have
not talking about the
in
entire
America we
reason for
have
the existence of the universe.
secret
I'm talking
societies,
about the events
and
that have
I
taken
believe
place
so.
in the past and that are
Hi,
taking place
hey
in the
Fidel.
present. That's all. And guess what? That's all the truth is. We want
You guys,
things to be
I just
true.
like to kind of, you know, sometimes I just
That
hop
doesn't
on,
make
just
it so.
getting to
That's not
know
what makes truth
each other. You know
the
what I
way that
mean?
it is.
Thank
What makes truth
you.
is the way that it
I
is.
appreciate
Is what
you. You
behaviors
love
are
my
taken,
locks.
and what is the actual effect in the manifested world. That's how things
Yeah, I
are.
have to travel in
It
a
doesn't
couple of
matter how we
days.
want them to be.
I can't wait for
They
you
may
guys
be
to
a
join me in
completely different
Africa.
way right now than we want them to be.
That's
But
what I'm really
most
looking
people
forward
in
to.
the
We're
world,
opening up
they
a
kind of
hotel
believe that they're the arbiter of
in my
truth.
hometown in Nigeria.
And that's a bad place to be in.
So,
That's a very, very
me and my
low
partner
level of consciousness.
getting ready
To
for
think
that.
I don't believe
We're gonna
it's
open by
this
Easter,
way.
so I need to go back
It's not
and
this
be
way.
setting up. So
Many
it's gonna be
people are trying
exciting,
to
you know,
mind.
getting my setup
Laws
together
of the
and,
universe don't
you know,
care about
having
it.
you guys be a
Laws
part
have
of it.
been created in this realm that work
Yeah,
flawlessly.
and I'll be doing a tour,
100% of the time,
a college tour
flawlessly.
over there as
The creator
well.
of the
So
universe set these laws in motion.
it's gonna be
Put them into
dope.
effect.
Documentary,
They bind
working on
you.
a lot of things.
You and I
Wiping.
are bound by these
Stop
laws,
it.
whether we like it or not, whether we accept it or
Really?
not, whether
Someone
we
who knows the work of their
understand it
hands
or
knows
not.
more than.
They're in effect.
Do you know
and
my
are
name?
already
Arts.
creating
My name is
the reality that we are experiencing
Madarocka
based
Chi,
upon
or
interaction with these
in my
unseen
culture, that's
laws. Already. You're
Madarocka
already doing it.
Chuku.
You can
It
never
means
not
beauty
be doing
is
it.
in the hands of God,
That's an
and
impossibility.
I've been told different things
Let's
about
look at the
that meaning,
dynamics
but yeah,
between
I do know the
discovery
work of my
and belief.
hands,
The
baby.
difference between discovery and belief. Because again,
I'm very crafty.
natural law is capable of
Can't help
being
it.
discovered, understood,
And you don't be rude
and
there.
harmonized
Wipe
with.
what? Wipe yourself.
What
Wipe
this
your
is
mouth. Matter of
saying,
fact,
this
wipe
exists.
yourself. Go to wherever you are wiping.
You're
Wiping
bound by
what?
it. The best you can do.
I help people with things
is
that's
to
necessarily help
understand
them,
its
not
operation
this kind
like
of
you would understand
ignorance
gravity,
and
therefore
arrogance
not
or
just
whatever you're
walk toward
talking.
the edge of a 200
We don't respond to
foot cliff
ignorance.
that is bottomed by jagged
We're
rocks.
not here for that.
If you're
You're missing the
intelligent
whole entire
and you
message.
understand how the law of gravity works, you won't do that behavior. So natural law has nothing to do with religion. It's not a belief system. It's a science. It is a discoverable operation that is already in effect that we can either understand and align our behavior to or remain ignorant of and suffer as a result of that ignorance because
Okay.
it's already in
Wow,
effect.
I just said it. What
It
did I
already
just say?
has
Okay.
binding effect upon
I have no words.
you
I
and
just
your
let people be
beings.
who they are.
Everyone's. So when it comes to belief, and anybody that was trying to propagate a
people be who
religion,
they
I'm
are.
gonna put this slide up here. When it comes to natural law, it works just like gravity.
I believe in
The
nature.
clown that's gonna jump over the cliff saying, I don't believe
And
in gravity,
I love
what's gonna
indigenous
happen?
life.
Down he goes. Because
And
belief is
I'm like,
irrelevant.
all the
Because
rest can
natural
go.
law does not care about you. It
That's
does
why
not
I love
care
Africa.
about you.
Emir?
It is
Oh,
in effect, no
I'm in
matter
California,
what
Emir.
you do, deal with it. So let's look at consciousness
I'm
and
in
the human
California,
brain.
but next week
Okay.
when
Because
I'll be posting from Washington D.C.
consciousness is an
So I still go
intangible
home a
force.
lot in D.C.
Okay, it's something that exists, but you can't really see it.
To my
Many
family
people have
home.
a hard time explaining what it is.
And then
But there's
my home now is in
physiological
Nigeria, so I'm going
expressions
to be
of
going back there
consciousness
very soon.
in the physical domain. And the
I've been
brain
setting
is
it
one.
up.
And of course, people will say, well, don't leave out the heart. Of course, the heart is also very important. The heart has an even bigger electromagnetic field in the brain.
How do I
and it's
turn
having
this
physiology
strip
and even more complex way
into
the brain is. But
ruffles?
we need to understand the basic structure of the brain
need
to
ruffles in my
understand the
skirt.
types of imbalances that go on within it
could have done
that
it a
lead
different way, but-
to these debilitating conditions within humanity that continue to create suffering for us. And also, what these belief systems do is they prevent the
Now-
activation of the heart
now
and the
that I
actions
created it.
of care and action. Not only do they prevent knowledge
I'm just gonna do
from
the
real
fold.
knowledge
The
from
creases,
manifesting
the
within the being,
creases.
they prevent
The
care,
fabric design is
and
very
they create
attractive.
apathy,
Oh,
and they
thank you.
create-
This is
create inaction and
Ankara.
cowardice.
uncut
So that we don't
material
actually
from
act and take
Nigeria.
action based upon
So
what
I
we're
just
told
made this
to.
one. This is the belt.
So let's look
I
at how
just
the
said, let me go ahead and do the belt
brain
part and
and
get it out of the way.
consciousness actually work.
See the belt.
People will also
You
try to
can
give
do this.
ridiculously overcomplicated
Oh, I
and
did it too.
mystified definitions of what consciousness
For
is.
instance, you
And
can
many
do,
people are even
this
scared
belt
of
can
the
be a
term,
belt. It can be a
okay?
head tie.
We have to demystify these terms and bring them down to
It can
real
be a belt,
simple
it can be a head
English,
tie.
real simple concepts that the average person can
A little
grasp.
belt type
Okay?
thing.
And stop trying to make
Or
it
it
more
can be a head
complicated
tie.
than it is. Being
You know,
conscious
those kind of stuff.
something, meaning having
Where you can-
consciousness of it, is
I put my
an
camera
ability
low.
of the being to recognize
You know,
patterns.
you
Remember, this is all about
your
pattern recognition.
acquaintance, if you want,
To
you can do
recognize
something
patterns
like this,
and meaning
or the other way.
with respect to events that are taking place or have
Oh,
taken place, okay, both within oneself, okay, in the inner realm, in the lesser realm,
This one.
the realm of the individual.
When I go there, I want
consciousness,
to.
and in the realm in which the self exists and operates, the macro.
I want to get more clothes made. I'm going to be getting some amazing things made because I don't really have time to do all the sewing. So I do have girls who sew for me back home, and woo, can they work?
That's consciousness.
So I already have things that I'm working on getting made. So when I go there, I'll be properly dressed. I can't wait. You know, you can do some things like that and tie it
There's
or
a
whatever,
difference
you know,
between
or
what it is
turn it into-
and how it expresses in our life.
and
Consciousness
me.
expresses. I ask people, just tell me
Yes,
what
I
are the ways
have
you could ever
different
make
beautiful
yourself like
materials.
another being.
This one,
How can any other being come
where's the pants?
to
I
know
made pants
who
out of
you
this, so I
are
want to do
in
a
this
shirt.
incarnation,
It's another
in
one.
this physical manifestation? How
Here's
could they
another one.
possibly come to know you? How could you manifest
show you.
yourself
No,
or
I
make
don't wanna
yourself
know
known
my
to them?
My mess.
And there's only three ways.
My
Thoughts,
messy station. That's the
emotions,
only
and
thing,
actions.
you know, when you're doing craft, it
And
can be
I
kind of
would say
messy.
speech
Another
falls
one,
into
you know, just
the
different beautiful
line
fabrics.
of the
I love it.
combination of
This,
thoughts and
you know,
emotions.
this
And
is
speech is also a form of action.
how we do. You know,
I'm
how
using
people are
force
very,
to,
very crafty.
to make the air flow over my vocal cords to make sounds come out so that you can hear the concepts I'm trying to express.
And
so it is a form of
fabrics all
action.
around, but.
And it derives from what
Thank you,
we've
Shadow. How
thought
you
up to this
doing?
point and the emotions that we have, and we can express it through speech. So thought, emotion, and action. Thought you have to look at as the creative
How are you?
force that is the
I
expression
hope everyone is having an amazing weekend. I felt like I missed you guys
So it's
because
a
I
neutral
haven't
force. You don't look at
been
your
on live
thoughts
in a
as
couple
masculine
days
or
because I've been
feminine,
super busy.
but you do look at
But
them as
I
creative
just wanted to,
forces.
you know, show some
In
love
order
and
for
let you guys
anything
know
to
that I'm
manifest in the
here.
physical domain, it had to first exist as a thought.
I'm here.
This
I'm just
computer,
getting ready.
somebody
So
had
many
to
things to
envision
do.
all the parts, how it works,
There's
how it's
so
put
much to
together.
do.
Okay, this camera equipment, the clothes you're wearing, the seats, everything that exists had to first exist in the realm of thought. Had to, by law.
Behind us.
Then it comes into physical manifestation through action. Your emotions are a polarized component, you can look at it as. It is a feminine aspect of consciousness. Because other people don't feel your emotions, they can perceive or sense them. You're the one who's feeling the emotions in your physiology. It's an internal expression. You feel emotions inwardly.
Thank you.
Inside of the physiology. Hence,
I
this
thank
is a
you.
feminine expression for consciousness.
I am.
It is something that is not
I'm just me
externalized
and
put out.
like no
It
other.
is something that is felt
But I am
within.
an inspiration.
So the emotions
And I want to
in
be more of an
the
inspiration,
mind-body
you
spirit
know,
connection are the
to women
spirits
so we can be more
in which
feminine
we
and more
do
grateful
something.
and
So
more,
that's the
you know,
feminine
natural.
force of the spirit. Of course, thoughts are within our mind, hence
We
that's
don't
the
have to
mind,
be out here, you know,
component of
chasing
consciousness.
anything.
Then
'Cause we
there's a
are
marriage between them. Okay, so you can look at
children of the
thoughts
Most
as
High,
the creative essence,
gods,
then
goddesses of this
blends
place.
with or marries to.
Man, we're learning so many
the feminine.
things. So many
See,
things
we're
about
getting into a
ourselves.
notion that is taught
So
in
I'm just
many
open. I'm
different
just
religious
like-
traditions. It's called the Trinity.
I believe in
And
being sovereign and free
I
and being
challenge
able to think for
anybody, go
yourself,
look
you
at
know.
any of the trinities that exist, in any of the religions.
And I love
You can
occult
go back
knowledge
to
because
Babylon.
I like
You
to
can
put
go
it
to
out in the
Indus
open
Valley
so it's
traditions. You can go
no
to the
more
Egyptian and
hidden.
Grecian traditions.
And they
The
are
Christian
all
traditions.
one without exaggeration.
Every single religious tradition that is
Yes.
part of a trinity,
Yeah,
right,
we
is
will.
always
you know.
Father
I feel
creator,
like naturally warm-hearted, but you know,
sacred
a
feminine
lot of us still
figure,
need a lot of work.
okay, of some kind that the father then
Unfortunately.
impregnates or inseminates.
A lot of us
in some
are
form.
angry
And
and
then
you know,
from that
just tired,
offspring
I guess. You
is
know,
born a male child.
or frustrated, and
Always.
we don't realize how
Okay?
powerful
What we're
we are.
talking about here is the father being the mind, the creative essence, then the spirit or the emotions being the sacred feminine essence, okay, or the Holy Spirit.
You're great, Amir.
And then the child, the male child,
Oh,
is
you said you feel like
active or
yes.
masculine principle.
I love your conversation, Amir. You seem like a very interesting person, actually. If you were in DC next week, I would invite you to our party. We're celebrating the life of my lovely brother and best friend that I lost many years ago. We haven't really had a full party to celebrate him in a long time. And I'm just grateful to be doing that before I travel back home to Africa.
Don't want to hear this.
Alo is an amazing guy.
Like them in the ways
so
that
amazing.
We programmed.
You know,
so what gets
lovely
put
dude,
into a person through the environment, which is called the culture, all right, and becomes their programming.
I have an idea how I'm doing.
Determines what they will output.
I love it when ideas just pop in my head like that.
And that will create the human condition in the aggregate as more and more people operate that way. All right, so let's look at how this works.
I know exactly what I want to do now.
Human beings are programmable much like computers. Like a computer, if a human being has a bad file system format, that's the first thing you do when you're going to get ready to use a computer. You have to format the drive. A file system format is you got to format the hard drive so you can prepare it for a specific operating system, which is basically the task controllers. It's going to control what happens on the computer, what program, how programs get launched, how memory is used, etc. In a nutshell.
Very interesting.
Right? If the human being has a bad file system format, right? This
guy was a part of
the operating conditions during a child's
I think Illuminati and stuff like that. You know,
the
Illuminati.
first 6 years of their life, essentially. Now, think about it. We call this
occultic.
Formative years.
He's an ex-occultist.
They're formative.
He likes to educate people on how we can, as humans, we can do better.
This is what puts the file system into the human being.
I like listening to people like that.
That prepares it for its operating system. Okay?
And you said my mother is also a seamstress, and I bought a lot of fabric and gave it to her. Yes! Hired personal, your own hired personal seamstress. Isn't that the best?
Now, like a computer, if a human being also has a bad operating system, again,
what country? Amir, are you in India?
A platform
Where are you?
that other programs will run in, and they're providing a graphical user interface. This is your culture. The operating system is the culture in which the programs run. Okay? So let's say if you have a bad operating system, meaning you're already surrounded in a bad environment, in a bad culture, right? That's also going to negatively impact the output. And then they have bad software programs. Now these are the programs that you run. Now if I didn't have a good presentation piece of software, my presentation might come out sloppy, it might crash in the middle of it, it might not display the graphics or the text properly, okay? So you gotta make sure you're working with good, reliable software as well. Now, what the software is the belief systems, what the person has taken into the mind and is processed and made part of himself. And now, if all of those things are bad, we have three bad components. The format is bad, the file system format, which is the formative years of the child, okay? The culture is bad, meaning they're already growing up in a bad culture or in a culture that condones moral relativism, etc., and doesn't understand natural law. And the software programs that have been input into the child are bad, meaning their belief systems, okay? What do you think the output of that, quote, computer is going to be like? Is it going to be good? Is it going to be chaotic? If I
That's common sense, chaotic.
Format, if I put an operating system that is like at alpha
that's why
state,
America, a lot of people in the world are very depressed.
Okay? And then I load crappy software
what's
that's
been put into us
and the developers didn't really
growing up
programming them correctly. Do Do you
as a
think
child.
that computer's going to operate properly and give me the output on the screen?
Oh,
I'm looking for,
I
or
was
output
thinking
on
of
the
somewhere
screen
like
I'm
that.
looking for, or
Istanbul,
output on
yeah.
the internet that
Okay,
I'm looking
okay.
for? Good luck.
I was gonna say,
If you know a little bit about computers, you're laughing now because
Middle
it would be
East.
ridiculous to assume that it could do that. Well, why do we think that we're going to have that in our environment when all of these things are badly programmed? See, the output onto the screen is also going to be horrible.
Yep.
If all those three things, that determine how the system works are also bad. So it will contribute to deteriorating conditions on a mass scale. Like a computer, the behavior of a human being largely depends upon its programming.
Yes.
And its programming is the quality of the information that
Are
is
you
being
aware
input into it.
of your own programming
The quality of the information
growing
it's
up
taking
in your
The
environment,
quality of the
wherever it
information
is? Are
it's
you aware
taking
of your own
is going to
programming?
determine the quality of the
That part.
information it's outputting, like any other computer. So if garbage goes in,
10,000 miles
garbage
away.
is going to come out.
But I'm, me,
If
I'm a
good
traveler.
information goes in,
So
quality
I'll be in
goes
Africa
quality
next
will come out.
10
And
days.
the output will be as one.
So how far are you from
wants it to
Africa?
be. It will be able to process
Is that on the
create
way?
efficiently,
I'm a traveler,
effectively,
so.
not chaotically. Here's a very simple
I'm global.
diagram.
I'm a global citizen.
Again, if people understand it, they really get how natural law functions. And again, it's very unpopular.
But I haven't been to Istanbul
People
yet.
don't want to look at what the bottom
Turkey, yeah.
base
In fact, I was invited to
foundation or
Turkey.
platform
Yeah.
of this structure is. Because
Back
once
in the
again,
day,
this idea that
I almost married a
knowledge is
man
what's
from,
required
he is a
makes
Nigerian
that
man
make
that
people
was
upset,
a
'cause they
baller
want to
in
believe
Turkey.
They're going to achieve these things they say
When I
they
was
want
younger.
without doing the work to acquire that knowledge, and therefore understand the requirements for obtaining.
I was being
those
set up
knowledge.
with
So we start
So
with
they wanted me to
available
come to Turkey,
information. This constitutes potential knowledge, and it can become knowledge if it's taken in, if it's amassed, if it's aggregated. Okay, it can be gathered.
I'm from one of those cultures where your parents set you up for marriage and stuff.
You could call this the grammar
It's been 5 years and you still
three-part
miss
process I'm going
him.
to explain. Okay, you could also
you said
refer to
actually
this
I was
as
wrong.
the input stage. If we're looking at it in a computer model, this is the stage
you
of inputting
mentioned-
information or programming something.
Not yet. I haven't
Okay?
come, but
Now, the next step
I
that's built
should
upon
come there.
this is once you've taken
Listen, what you
information
said
in, necessary information, you then
She returned
come
to-
to a
oh, you mean
position
because you
of
broke up because she had to
understanding
return back
it.
home.
You know what it means, you recognize the patterns, all right? So this is the second step in this process. Now, your understanding or lack of understanding, okay, now in the first stage, your knowledge or lack of knowledge is going to lead to understanding or lack of understanding. If you have understanding present, your decision-making processes are going to be in harmony with what you say you want. Okay? You're going to understand, if here's what I want, this is what's necessary to get that, to make that happen, to manifest it. That's understanding. It's a decision-making process that happens within the mind. These processes take place in the human mind and are chosen by each individual based upon available information. So again, you can see, if information is held back, if it is occulted, or even if it's just people are dissuaded from taking it in, because people will say, no, there's nothing there, there's nothing to it, right? You can see how they'll never get to this step. They'll never understand. They'll never get to the second level of creating our reality. The third stage to this process is what you do with what you have come to understand, to know and understand. So this is the action stage, okay? Each individual's behavior, the behaviors that they choose through their own free will, is based upon the quality of their decision-making processes that are happening within the human mind. Okay? That process, as we've already seen, is in return based upon the quality of available information. So this is behavior. See, people don't think of wisdom as behavior. They don't think of wisdom as action. They think of it as something that you just know. No, wrong.
Oh, it's nighttime there.
Wisdom is not knowledge.
Make sure you like and subscribe. Enjoy my
Let
channel.
me say this again.
I appreciate you guys so much. I already have
action. It is knowledge and understanding that has been applied.
Okay.
So, based upon these three
Yes.
processes,
We love
something is
culture.
generated. Something is created in the
That's
physical
what's up.
manifestation.
Are you
Physically manifested
come to
reality.
Nigeria?
The real world, so to speak.
You should come to Nigeria.
So, the
I get you
manifested
good
reality
girlfriend.
is based upon the aggregate behavior. Aggregate behavior. No one person is creating the
Very,
reality
very
we are
beautiful girlfriend.
experiencing. Okay? It's another fallacy of the New Age movement and thinking. In the aggregate, we are creating our shared reality. All the behaviors put together creates
I
the
appreciate
output
you,
on
Shadow.
screen,
Good night.
the generated result. Is it orderly? Is it chaotic? Well, that's going to be based upon whether someone took in the
I
information,
think I want to start like a group
processed it
on
efficiently to come to an understanding.
on one of these
and
sites like
enact it upon.
Patreon, or one of these
The
groups where
manifested reality is
we
the
can
quality
actually
of the
talk
condition
together, because
which
I love
manifests
it. I
in
love
any
connecting
given
with
society
amazing new
based
people.
upon the aggregate
And,
quality
people
of
who
human
want
behavior
to grow in
within
spirit
that
and be
society.
better. So
This is how our
I'm
reality
considering
is actually
doing a
created.
membership site,
The conditions that we experience as the daily events of our life.
or in
It's a
here,
simple
maybe I'll just
three-stage
set
process
up
that leads to a result.
a subscription channel
And for many people
that I
here,
can
you will
grow.
recognize
Right?
if
Then
you
we can
look into this
take time and hang out
discovery
and talk and
process
things like
and
that.
this creative process
I have a lot
is
to
known as
share.
the trivium. This is what the trivium is. In the ancient traditions,
That's gonna help
this is what the
people on
trivium
their
was
inspire people
labeled.
and
It
help
was
people on
labeled
their growth, on
knowledge,
their path,
understanding,
on
and
their
wisdom.
journey of
The
growth.
trivium methodology of truth discovery has been completely obliterated from public consciousness. Many people have never heard the word.
Right now, we're just
Instead
hanging
of the
out
trivium method of learning, the classical
while
liberal
I
arts education
create some
methodology.
amazing things.
Because they want to try to sanitize that as
Right.
much from human consumption as possible. They don't even want you to understand how that works at all. So you got to look into it and understand how it works. That's all I can say about it. It is how we build our reality, either efficiently or destructively. So, let's look at what some of the principles of how natural laws work first, before we can actually find out what the expressions of those laws are in our lives, which will be the next section. These are what I call the general principles of natural law. Natural law is expressed through 7 basic underlying principles, plus what I have referred to as an 8th or hidden principle, which you hear very few other researchers, even people who are studying this from the occult perspective, who are studying this from the consequentialism perspective, you very hear them incorporate the 8th and all-encompassing principle, which I'll get to last here. This 8th principle, which I call the lost principle, binds all the other 7 principles together. All right? These principles together constitute a master key through which universal wisdom, including the knowledge of the requirements to obtaining what we desire, is then unveiled or de-occulted. These are the 7 general principles of natural law. Many people who have studied some variants of occultism may recognize these as what are known as the Hermetic
principles.
Hermetic essentially comes from Hermes. Hermes Trismegistus, the thrice
studies
great
Hermes?
one, as he was referred to in the
Yes.
ancient Greek mystery traditions. 7 general
Yeah, I gotta
principles.
study these
They are
mysteries.
mentalism, correspondence,
Because,
vibration,
believe it or not,
polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, which is a huge one,
people that we
which
have
we'll
to
be getting
listen
into,
to,
and gender.
and
I'm
government
gonna
and
briefly
leadership
describe what
and
each of
even
these
your
are
celebrities,
and what they're about.
they know this stuff.
The principle of mentalism states that the all, everything in creation, is actually a manifestation of mind. The all is mind. And what this means is everything that happens has to be a result
in your mind
of
first.
a mental state which preceded it.
Starts in your mind.
Everything. For anything to exist, thoughts had to form first.
That's why we are creators.
We
are creators. Thank you, Amir.
Of the creator.
We are
Thoughts lead to the
creators. You
manifestation
can't be
of
afraid
things
to
and
be
events.
creators.
Thoughts
And nobody's saying that
create
you are
conditions.
the creator, but you are.
Thoughts create things
You have a
and
God
conditions.
complex.
They cannot
You have a
just
God
magically
divinity
manifest
within you
themselves.
because
Thought comes
you are the
first.
creator.
Thoughts create our state of existence and the quality of our
Yes.
experience here
We have
on
to
earth.
feel connected to our
Ultimately.
creator.
Therefore, we should be responsible for everything that we create by being responsible for that which we think.
Yeah, so even if we create
Because
that,
the thought processes
we are doing it.
what are driving the behaviors.
I agree.
People behave the way they do
We do it
because
ourselves.
they have certain belief systems embedded in the mind and running like a program. Their thoughts
Careful
and their
what you
emotions
create.
are driving their
Be
actions.
intentional.
So the behavior's not magically suddenly going to just change. The thoughts and emotions
I'm intentional to create an
because they're the
amazing
driving
environment
force
of
behind the
love
behavior.
and wonderful,
That's when reality will
inspire
change.
wonderful
People
creations
don't wanna
from
hear that, once again.
myself
They
and
don't
from
wanna
other
hear. If you
beautiful
wanna
young
change
people
reality,
around me.
You yourself
Take care of me here.
have to change the way you think. Because the way you think is not conducive to the requirements for getting what you say you want. They're doing the exact opposite of that in many cases. So that's the principle of mentalism. The principle of correspondence states that that which is above is similar or like to that which is below.
Which is below.
So what this means is that which is below, and that which is below is like to that which is above. It's a mirror, okay? The above is like the below is like the above, all right? The above, in this case, is the macrocosm, okay? The laws of the very large things, okay? The laws that govern the creation which we consider is seemingly outside of ourselves. We know at the deepest level that it's not, that we're one with it.
It's
but,
inside.
we perceive this as out
We
here.
are one with
the
creation.
laws that govern the large aspects of things. So the macrocosm, or the very large, the totality of everything, and the microcosm, which is the very small, or the individuated units that comprise the whole in their aggregate, okay? They are reflections of each other. They cannot be separated from each other. As one goes, the other goes. The universe is actually a holographic system. A hologram is an image, okay? You pass a laser through it and then projects a 3D image, okay? It's like a flat image and it projects a three-dimensional image. But the aspect, why they call it a holo, like holistic, hologram, holistic image, is if you break a hologram into multiple components by cutting it. So if I take a hologram and I cut it in 4 pieces, you don't have a quarter of the image on one part of the hologram and a quarter on the other and a quarter on the third and a quarter on the fourth. You have 4 whole images that only lose their resolution by a quarter.
This is the part that I've been really trying to understand.
Everything is
about the
contained in all the
fractal
smaller parts.
holographic universe.
That's like the reality that we're living
I've been
in.
like really
Our
looking into
universe is a holographic one. So the universe is inside the individual. And the entire
It's like
universe is like
you
the
create
individual.
what
They're
you
reflections of each other.
right.
To know the workings of the individual will help lead us to an understanding of the macrocosmic laws. Similarly, to learn the macrocosmic laws will help us to learn the way that consciousness within the individual functions.
Right.
These two things cannot be separated from each other. And once again, as I said near the beginning, that's what occulted knowledge is. The knowledge of the occult is how the microcosmic world works, which is the individuated consciousness, and how the macrocosmic world works, which is natural law. So the other part of the principle of correspondence is that our reality is also fractal in nature. Now, if you studied fractals, these are self-similar mathematical generated patterns, okay? We see this through things like Fibonacci sequence in mathematics, and this is repeated endlessly throughout nature. Okay, so you look at the structure of the atom, and it's similar to the structure of the solar
Anybody
system, which is
studies
similar to the
sacred
structure of the
geometry?
galaxy. They work the same way. They look the same. You pull back enough, you'll keep seeing the same pattern repeat. The principle of vibration simply states that there is no such thing
study
as
the work
rest,
of
as dead or non-motion.
Terrence Howard.
Okay,
Does a
death,
good job of
in
breaking
that
this
sense,
stuff
is an
down.
illusion.
Terrence
Because
Howard.
true death would be the
He does a really good
cessation
job
all
of breaking
motion
this
and
down.
energy. There is no such thing. It doesn't exist. You cannot go anywhere in creation where something is at complete rest. Everything moves, everything vibrates, and at the most fundamental level, the universe and every single thing which comprises it is ultimately pure vibratory energy.
That's why we don't die, we transcend.
Different frequencies, different vibratory forms.
Really
The
learn
universe
how to
has no true solidity
to just
as
be
such,
happy
as we
with-
imagine solidity at the
with everything, no
macrocosmic
matter
level.
what. Like,
Matter is merely
shouldn't
energy
be.
in
I
a
know
state
we
of vibration.
miss our
And what this
lost
is,
ones, our
if we
loved ones. We
truly
miss them when
understand
they
this,
go,
the many
but
sciences are now finally
they're not gone. They're just
really
transcending.
understanding this and trying to propagate this knowledge out into the public. We will come to the understanding that this is a spiritual construct for experience to be gained, to have an experience and learn and grow in consciousness. That's what the purpose of this whole thing is for. Nothing is truly solid. You know, it's again, like we say, we are spirit having a human experience. The whole universe is spiritual, having a experience in solidity. All right, that's how you have to look at the principle of vibration. The principle of polarity.
That's the holographic, because
everything has a dual
there's
nature
a void.
to it.
Yeah.
There are polarities in everything that exists. Okay,
And there's
everything has
always
poles.
something that you can
Everything
create
has its
with
pair
it from
of
that void.
opposites. However, opposites they are identical in nature, but they're different in degree. So let me give you an example of what that means. Are hot and cold really opposites? Or can we simply look at them as the presence of heat energy or the absence of heat energy? Meaning that they're the same thing, energy. And whether it's concentrated in a specific area, which would make it hot, or whether it's absent from a specific area, which would make it cold. Okay? That's what hot and cold are at the fundamental level. At our level of perception, they're opposites, but at the fundamental level, they're the same thing, energy or lack thereof.
Right.
Just like those 3 stages of the trivium. Are knowledge and ignorance the same thing? Yeah, actually they are. Because truth is always present. It's a matter of whether it's taken in and processed, or whether it's refused to be taken in and it's not processed. Okay. Extremes can meet and blend and play with each other, like as depicted in the yin-yang symbol, masculine and feminine. They need to be blended. And at some level of reality, everything that is seemingly contradictory may be reconciled. Now again, I stress the term at some level. At the unified field level, everything is consciousness, pure consciousness. Let's look at the principle of rhythm. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. Okay, so everything has a rhythm to it or a swing to it. There's tendencies that exist in energy. The pendulum swing manifests in everything that we undergo, everything we perceive. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. It's just an opposite. It's perceived as an opposite. Rhythm will compensate. Now, how this should be understood when we are talking about natural law is many people will say, well, that's just the way the tendency is moving us. It's just the way the tide is taking us, right? But that's not really accurate. Okay? We can't look at these things as that the rhythms are set in stone and it has to be this way now, right? One of the things that a lot of the Hermetic tradition taught regarding these laws, these principles, were they can be overcome by higher levels of consciousness. Okay? This one was one of them. Rhythm is a principle that is a tendency for something to swing a certain way. Let's liken it to genetics. If you look at some newer biology, a lot of modern biologists are suggesting consciousness plays into whether a gene activates or not and expresses a certain condition. Well, this is the same way. There's something that can be done about the swing or the tide, okay? Let's look at it as you have a boat. You want to row the boat out to sea, right? You have to get past the tide. You have to get past the breakers and the waves. And if that tide's really strong at high tide, it's going to be very much more difficult. You're going to have to expend more energy to get it out to sea. If, however, you were taking it when the current's moving out to sea, okay, there's a flow that's moving outward deeper into the ocean, and you start rowing that boat then, you're going to be able to do it much more easily. Okay, so if there's winds pushing along a plane, it's going to have to expend less energy. It's going to get there more quickly, okay, because it's adding to the energy. If, however, you're flying against the wind, you got to expend a lot more energy. It's just a tendency. You can still get to where you want to go. You may just have to exert more effort. So that's the principle of rhythm.
cause and effect.
This is the principle here in natural law that most fits in with how I'm using the term natural law today, cause and effect. Many people, again in the New Age community, don't want to believe that there's causes and effects, and that effects are driven by causes that, come first and then manifest conditions. So the principle of cause and effect simply states that every cause has its effect and every effect has its cause. Every single thing that occurs happens according to law. All right? Chance is a name for law, a law not recognized. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law. So again, is there free will? Yes, there is free will. But is there free will to ignore law without consequence? No, there is not. That's the limit of free will. Free will is operating within boundary conditions that I'm referring to as natural law. It's a series of laws, actually, okay? Free will operates within these parameters or boundary conditions that cannot be exceeded or gone beyond without consequence. Oh yeah, you can break natural law. Yes, you can break it, but you cannot break it without consequence. You cannot break it without consequence, negative consequence. And that's why this body of knowledge has in the past been referred to as consequentialism. It is the knowledge of how consequences are generated by our free will decision-making processes within the boundaries of natural law. So this is the law of cause and effect, the principle of cause and effect. And I think this image, I was searching for images that encapsulate cause and effect, and I found this cartoon. I think it does it brilliantly. Most of all, because will the effect happen immediately? No, it will not happen immediately. There is a time lag. You set the cause in motion, the universe is going to intelligently bring to you, through a rearrangement of all the dynamics that it needs to rearrange, the effect of what you've generated by setting that cause in motion. And there is a time gap between the cause going into place and the effect coming around and hitting you. This is why the pattern recognition of cause and effect is more difficult, because it is separated by a time lag, by what we perceive as linear time. For some people familiar with my work, you've seen me break down the Matrix trilogy. And the law of cause and effect is brought forward extensively in the second Matrix movie, The Matrix Reloaded. And the scene that encapsulates this the most is the character of the Merovingian, who tells to the heroes who want to be free from the Matrix and its control, okay? You are coming to me without an understanding of why you are in this position. You don't understand the causal factors that have led to the current conditions that are in place. Therefore, you are coming to me with no power to affect change. You are powerless. So why should I help you? You're powerless because you lack knowledge and understanding of what set these events into motion. Why? The question why, he says, why is the only source of real power. Without why, you are powerless. He's talking about cause and effect, and he says it specifically. Causality, he calls the only real truth. And this is the villain. The words of truth come through it's a big technique in Hollywood, too. The words of truth are spoken by the villain in the movie or in the series.
Oh, yeah.
Everything starts with choice. And Morpheus is correct. Our choices set that causality into motion before it becomes an effect. And the Merovingian tries to tell him, no, there is no free will. That's where the dark occultist will give you the bulk of truth and then poison it with that one thing he wants to get you to accept. Okay? So the next thing that needs to be understood is the two planes. All right, there's the plane of effects and then there's the plane of causes. No power to affect any change lies on the plane of effects, which is the physical manifested reality. Again, what already is, nothing can be done about. What already is, you cannot change. You cannot change the past. You can change what it is starting now and make sure that it gets changed in the future. But right now, what is the truth, and all you can do is accept that or reject it.
So drum the truth.
So the physical world that is manifested up to this point happened because of things that occurred in the past. The causes happened in the past. Nothing you can do about that right now. No power to affect any change lies in the world of effects. Cannot be done. You are rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic while it sinks. You're not creating any change doing those things because the underlying causes aren't changing. And the underlying causes are how we think, how we feel, and how we behave. And no one wants to look at that. They want to think all those things can stay in place and I can magically get what I want. I want to keep my hand over the fire, but I don't want it to burn and blister. Well, enjoy. Find out what you get when you do that. Because that's what we're doing when it comes to natural law. The final principle of the 7 principles of natural law, at least the formalized ones.
Thank you for watching, y'all. Have a great Saturday. Might hit you up later.